I didn't get selected for service in 75th just because I was a woman. I got selected because I was the most qualified candidate.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and we have a spicy one for you today. Probably going to piss a lot of people off, but I don't care. So we're going to talk about objective reality and how that relates to the military today. So if that makes you uncomfortable, well, this channel is probably not for you anyway. So yes, the Department of Defense has been undergoing a lot of changes, most specifically in the physical fitness standards. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the news recently come out that the Department of Defense is going to change the combat fitness test, or basically create a new combat fitness test out of the ACFT. One standard for everyone. Doesn't care about your gender. Very interesting. On top of that, Ranger School actually rehauled their physical fitness test, and that is what we're going to be most concerned with today. All right. And we're going to talk about all the controversy that goes along with it, and there's a lot of it. All right, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Definitely helps the channel. Also, check out our Patreon. A bunch of really cool exclusive behind-the-scenes stuff there. And go grab some merch. We got a bunch restocked. All right, let's jump into it. So, what is really going on? Well, if you haven't seen, Secretary Hegseth has made it very clear on multiple podcasts before he became Secretary of Defense, he does not believe women should be in combat arms.
I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles. It hasn't made us more effective, hasn't made us more lethal, has made fighting more complicated.
You can agree with that. You can disagree with that. I don't really care about your opinion on that. The reality is that's the way he feels, and he's in charge. So there are changes being made to these fitness tests that, yes, I can tell you 100%, the reason it's being done is to basically wipe out 99.9% of women from being able to pass them to begin with. Well, can't pass the fitness test, can't be in combat arms. Boop, boop. Too bad, right? So there's a lot of controversy that has stemmed from this through initially when we talk about Ranger School. A lot of women have passed Ranger School. And, you know, all the rumors were, again, this was an Obama era thing in 2015 when this started, that standards were lowered or basically gutted, and women were given a bunch of chances, multiple recycles, basically do everything you can possible to make sure women pass Ranger School, okay? Because DEI, right? I wasn't there for that. I can't confirm, but what I can confirm is the exact same thing was done to the Special Forces qualification course under General Sontag. We removed a bunch of the standards, gutted the standards, also we could get a couple women to pass Special Forces assessment and selection, right? And I can tell you, we're already well ahead of Ranger School. Special Forces Assessment and Selection and the Q course have gone back to the original standards before that, and no women can make it through now. Okay, again, if you don't like that, I'm sorry, but that is what it is. The standard for all men, women had to meet, they can't meet that. So yes, the entire combat arms physical fitness standard is going to be rehauled. We don't know what exactly it is yet. We'll do another video when we get to that. But again, the reason why this whole thing started and why they split up, so they actually split new standards, is because, guess what? Back in 2022, under President Biden, this happened when they started the Army Combat Fitness Test, the new PT test we were going to do, and everybody was going to have one standard. This is the way it was supposed to be initially, but we couldn't allow that to happen, and this is why. All right, so you see here a little article, Army scraps gender-neutral standards, pushed by discredited social engineers, right? So what they basically were saying was having one physical fitness standard for combat basically wasn't fair, right? DEI. So the reason why they ended up gutting this and going to a split standard, which the ACFT has, there's a men's standard and a women's standard, just like there's for PT tests, and yes, they're much lower for women, is that less than 50% of women could pass the female standard of the ACFT, And so now what they're going to do is make it one standard and also elevate the standard for everyone higher than it was even for men. And so essentially women will not be able to pass the test. Now you may have onesies and twosies that are CrossFit gods. All right. But overall, yeah, you're not just going to have your run of the mill, pretty in shape woman be able to pass these things. It's not going to happen. All right. So then the question is, before we jump into the Ranger School standards, is this the right thing to do? Should there be one standard for all combat arms? And I will tell you this, and I don't care if it makes you upset. If you're somebody who's a pro DEI person, yes, I can tell you from someone who's been in combat and nasty combat, combat and gunfighting and war does not care about your body parts downstairs. It don't care about your gender whatsoever. Okay. And so when we talk about these types of things, why is there a different physical fitness standard? Like the deadlifting weight is lower for one gender than the other. Does that really make sense? Because me, 6'3", 240 pounds, I usually had about 120 pounds of 130 pounds of kit on my body. You guys know how heavy that is? 350 plus pounds. When I get hit by an IED and I get knocked unconscious, and this has happened to my teammates on missions I've been with, and I have to pull you out of a fatal area, fatal funnel, so that you don't get killed, and we all don't get killed. Are you strong enough to do that? Well, it doesn't really matter what your physical fitness test you took was. I still weigh 360 pounds, and you need to drag my unconscious body out of that area. Can you do that? If you can do that, awesome. You meet the standard. But no, we don't need a lower standard based off of what's in your underpants. Okay. Those days are gone. And I've said this, I made multiple videos about this in the past. Man, if you want DEI initiatives at Disney, right? If you want to make movies and you want to lose $300 million like they just did with Snow White because you're doing DEI, good on you. You're a private business. Do whatever you want. You're beholden to your shareholders and your stakeholders, but it doesn't affect the rest of us, right? The military, warfighting, police, fire departments, all these things. The Secret Service obviously was a big one. No, I got zero patience for it. Standard is the standard is the standard is the standard. If you can't meet it, male or female, doesn't matter. And this goes for males too. You do not need to be in combat arms, period. All right. So yes, this is 100%. I don't care how you feel about Pete Hegseth. This decision is 100% the right decision. Now, if women can meet that standard, okay, we're in agreement. We made it that the standard they can be in. All right. But no split standards. Now we're going to jump into the Ranger School physical fitness test changes. All right. But before we do that, shout out to our partners, Tasty Gains Gummies. All right. You've seen them on the channel before with their creatine, new product, pre-workout gummies. And guys, for me, I love working out. I also love pre-workout and I love caffeine. I'll be honest. And you know what, guys? I almost died from a botched kidney stone operation, 2 different surgeries because I drank so many goddamn energy drinks. I almost killed myself when I was active duty. So if you're like me, you're trying to give up that vice, go away from it, you need to switch over to pre-workout gummies. Guys, 200 milligrams of caffeine in each one of these gummies, organic. All right. Get all the same effects of pre-workout and also way, way less expensive. All right. Full month supply of this, only $30. Go grab yourself a couple bottles. Thank me later. Awesome product. I love it. All right. Now, let's talk about the Ranger School changes. All right. As you can see here, Ranger School is getting a new fitness assessment. Now, I'm going to talk about the assessment. And then we're also going to talk about is this going to be harder for women? Because that's a lot of the controversy here is, oh, they're just doing this to make it harder for women to get through Ranger School. We'll talk about it. All right. But here, as you can see, the revised standards will debut in Ranger School class 0625 beginning April 21st. Guys, that is the next Ranger School class, a week and a half from now. So they will be the first ones to have to undergo this, marking the culmination of years of development and refinement. Students will be assessed the first day of the course. This is the same. It's always been this way. First day of pretty much every school, you're going to do whatever the PT test is. All right. So down here, this is the new test. Okay. The old test was a standard PT test, which in the military is push-ups, sit-ups. You do a 5-mile run test and then 6 pull-ups. All right. So this is what it's changing to. And yes, I can tell you it is significantly harder, no doubt, for men and women. Right. So you're going to be in combat uniform. So duty uniform with boots. You have 14 minutes total to complete. an 800-meter run, which I can tell you in boots and uniform sucks ass. All right. 30 dead stop push-ups. Okay. This, I'm not sure if this is going to be harder or easier. Okay. I actually think these are easier to do on a fitness test than regular push-ups. So it could be kind of a wash. A 100-meter sprint, an event in which students lift 16 40-pound sandbags onto a 68-inch platform. So kind of a strongman lift off the ground. Sandbag lift. That's actually a lot. Not a lot of weight, but 16 times. And again, on top of everything here, you then have a 50-meter farmer's carry consisting of 2 5-gallon water cans weighing 40 pounds each. This will definitely be harder for women, given grip strength, forearm strength, trap strength, all these different things. No doubt about that. 50-meter movement drill consisting of 25-meter high crawl and a 25-meter 3 to 5 second rush. I'm assuming that's an up, I'm up, he sees me, I'm down type of thing as you're running along. Every 3 to 5 seconds, you're going to hit the ground and then come back up. And then another 800-meter run. Okay. All in boots uniforms. You have to do all that in less than 14 minutes. I haven't tried this. I'll probably go out and actually do this and then maybe make a video about it and show you guys how difficult I think it is. But it's definitely much harder than just push-ups, sit-ups. Okay. There's no doubt about that. And the reason why it's going to be way harder is much like the ACFT, for those of you guys who don't know, when you smoke the shit out of your legs, okay, and that's what these 800-meter runs, 100-meter sprints, lifts, sandbag lifts, farmer's carry, movement drills, all of this is going to toast your legs. And then on the backside of all of this, once you complete all these, you're going to change into your typical, your Army PT shorts and t-shirt. And then you got to do it instead of a 5-mile run in 40 minutes, an 8-minute standard, which is pretty much a standard in all special operations or high-level schools in the military. You will now do a 4-mile run. So you take 1 mile off, but it's still at that 8-minute standard. Okay. And then after that, at the very end, you'll do your 6 chin-ups. So yes, this is going to be significantly harder. And the reason it's going to be harder, this last 4-mile run after you smoke the shit out of your legs is going to be really, really hard. Okay. If you're not in like crazy good shape. Now, again, it's going to be harder for both men and women. The question is this going to be a determiner that will basically wipe out the chance for any woman to make it through? And with this in the Ranger School assessment here, I don't think so. It will be harder, but I think there will still be some women who can pass this. The reason why is because this is extremely lower body focused. And, women have very strong lower bodies. The women that, work out super hard and stuff like that. That's not really the struggle. They struggle in upper body strength. So things like high amounts of pull-ups, push-ups, bench press, those are all things that women are much, 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 much weaker in. So comparatively to we actually in Special Forces have used a modified test like this throughout the Special Forces qualification course. And a lot of what we've done when I went through, which is called the upper body round robin, which is this test here, which had they wanted to wipe women out, I think this would have been the test that they would have wanted to go with. Okay. If that was the intent. So you have 1 minute push-ups, 40, minimum of 40, 1 minute of sit-ups, minimum of 40 pull-ups, dead hang. These aren't chin-ups. These are far harder. Far harder than a chin-up. Actually full dead hang pull-up all the way over the bar. Okay. Not easy. Well, I mean, 6 isn't that hard if you're in shape, but for women, very, very challenging. Dips, 6. Okay, bench press, 80% of body weight, 6 reps, super easy for dudes, not very easy for women. And then 20-pound rope climb. Okay, this is very hard for women with a 25-pound weight vest. If you don't have like that perfect CrossFit technique for this and you're trying to pull yourself up just with your upper body, big time men advantage on this one. Right, 1 minute of kip ups, right, from the pull-up bar, lifting your feet up, another advantage for men. And then just your shuttle run. We also would do a 5-mile ruck some of the times, big advantage for men. Okay, so no, I don't think the Ranger School standard is going to, I think it's going to stop a lot of women who could potentially have been sort of on that realm of maybe passing, but it's also going to be a lot harder for men. There's going to be a lot of men that could pass the original Ranger School PT test that will not be passing that PT test. I can promise you that. Just lower body and endurance wise, it's going to be way, 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 way harder. I can tell you You know, like the same thing on the ACFT, which is a bunch of events and then a 2 mile run. When you're at the end of that, guys, that shit sucks. Your legs are just toasted out, and then you go run. Now in the ACFT, the run standard is way slower. So, and you only have to do 2 miles, 4 miles at an 8-minute pace after that. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not taking that PT test, because that's a lot worse. So, yeah, I mean, when we're talking about, is this a good thing? I'll tell you this. This is my personal feeling. Women in combat, women in combat arms, right? Is there a place for females in some combat situations? You know, very sparingly. We use them in Army Special Forces sometimes, especially in Afghanistan and Middle Eastern cultures, can be on target with us. They are nowhere near the front of the stack or anything like that. But in the event we need to talk to women, or Afghan women, to figure out where things are or where the Taliban might be, whatnot, we're not allowed to talk to the women as men as part of that culture. So women can do that. So there was some value added there. But as for frontline infantry, special forces, Navy SEALs, no. And I'll tell you this is my personal beliefs. If you don't like it, I don't care. So please spare me in the comment section. But I think that any nation, any society that sends its wives, its daughters, its mothers to the front line to fight its wars for it, I don't think is worth fighting for to begin with. Okay, so if you do think women should be in combat, I really don't have any respect for you. Sorry if that hurts your feelings. Because yeah, that's it's the men's role in society. It has been for 5,000 years, and that's the way it goes. Okay, so sorry if this hurts your little boo-boo feelings, but that's the way I feel. Okay, so also, if women can be in combat arms, they can be drafted. And so if you guys want to keep women in combat, then you need to change selective service to men and women. All right, equality. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this one, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.